Everyone, welcome to today's exhibition panel discussion called Viva la Vida Ante la Adversidad, Long Life Against Adversity. My name is Antonio Alanís, and I am joined today by the Interlatin American Artists Collective and members. Their names are Pepe Caudillo, McKinney, Lety Alvarez, Peter Marin, Manuel Cruz, Cornelio Campos, and myself. And today we will be covering what is the exhibition, an introduction to ILAAC, and then we'll have a discussion and closing before we finish the panel discussion. But today we are here to talk about Viva la Vida ante la Adversidad. And as a group of artists, we came together to talk about some of the difficulties and challenges that we have faced in 2024. So anything from social, political, a lot of context, a lot of migration challenges are happening right now. And we are turning into the arts, specifically the visual arts, to talk about how we are responding as community, as artists, as creatives. And I think it's crucial to highlight what we are experiencing together. So I'm going to now pass it on to Pepe Caudillo to talk a little bit more about what is ILAAC.
Yes, thank you, Antonio, and thank you for everybody that is connecting with us through this medium. Yeah, ILAAC is like you mentioned, Antonio, the Inter-Latin American Artists Collective. So we start in April 2022. And so we start very basic way, which is having a lunch, talk about it. We agree on the basic elements of a group, and then we decide to keep working together. So we now are committed as an ILAAC, we're committed to foster greater representation, inclusion, and diversity in the Triangles area in terms of the art scene. We believe that cultural programming is the right energy that will bring more opportunities to not only to ILAAC, but others that are looking for an space in the art scene, as I mentioned. So we want, even though this original group is formed of people whose origin can be traced to Latin American countries, we don't want to be under the label of only Latino. I think we are first and foremost artists. We want to be known as an artist, and then the other labels will come as we are opening more spaces for us and for others, because we don't want to work just for us. So we want to include more people. We want to be more diverse. Even though the current administration, as we know, they don't like diversity, we love it. We love diversity. I think we believe that that is the way to go. It is just ridiculous to talk about just one color when the box of crayons is so big and it includes many colors. So that's, especially we as artists, we believe in many colors. So it's not just our physical representation, it's also what we do. So those two things are together for us, and it's very important. We are not shying away from this aspect that no diversity, no inclusion, no equality. We don't believe in that. Personally, I don't believe in that. And I think we all agree as a collective. Anyway, that is the idea that kind of leads some of the things that we are doing in ILAAC. And as we are growing in the community, our people out there will learn more about ILAAC. But for now, this is like the concept and the idea that the way I want to define what we are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pepe, for the introduction about what is ILAAC. And I would like to invite you all as well to see the exhibition in person. Huge shout out to the Durham Arts Council that hosted and is hosting the exhibition from January 13 to March 10, 2025 at the Allenton and Siemens Gallery. We will be having a second show opening on February 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. And with that, we will be going on to the individual introductions. So we can talk about what is her name, what is her medium, and anything you like for people to know about you. And we'll start with Pepe Caudillo first.
All right, thank you. I want to say that I'm originally from Mexico. I came to the US in 1996. I like to believe that I was born an artist. I just didn't dedicate much of my first years to that. I always enjoy art in one way or another. I officially started painting, or more professionally painting and doing art, in 2018. And I say professionally because that was the year that I started actually selling some of my work, which was a really great experience. I think what I do, or what I try to do with art, is expressing, sometimes protesting, other times reacting, other times to the realities that we live. I can share that I started reading the newspapers back in Mexico around 1988. And since almost day one, when I was reading the papers in Mexico, I got sometimes upset, sometimes sad, because I started learning. The more I was reading the papers, I learned more how politicians were messing up our lives, right? And then I don't want to just blame on that part. So obviously, we all are in this together. So I am critical of this aspect of our communities, the politics killer. But at the same time, I understand that we elect politicians. So it's both sides of the question. If we want some change, we need to do something about it. And this is the way I'm trying to do something about it, by using acrylic mainly on canvas, different colors, representing my opinion on how the politics sometimes can be ugly to us. And that is what I try to represent. That is one of my biggest series that I have worked in other areas too. But the main one, and I think the one that makes sense currently, is that it's titled Politics is Ugly. And I'm planning on keep doing this, especially probably it sounds like the next 4 years I'm gonna be very critical of what's happening. Because it's just not, we cannot avoid that. So that is me, and that's what I do. And I really enjoy doing the process of my work, but I also feel very proud and happy to be part of ILAAC, and share some of my experience as an artist with you guys that have a lot of experience too. So thank you so much for making me part of this.
Thank you, Pepe. We will continue with Liz McKinney.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, all the artists, for being here, and also for the people watching this video. So my name is Luis McKinney. I'm originally from Mexico City, but I have to mention that I lived in Ecatepec in the state of Mexico. And I mention this because Ecatepec for me is, of course, part of my life, and is a place where life was very interesting in terms of violence, in terms of different social, I would say, right? But also, I think, and of course, the place we were coming from, it is important because is the place that is creating us as individuals. And from that, I will say that after living in Mexico for 25 years and coming to the United States, then I started to feel that I was someone different, right? And then I started creating art, and I started to do different things and different activities with, with the art that made me feel not just for me, but also for other people, that the art can change lives. And about this, I can say that art healed part of my person, part of who was at that moment. And that's why I do art. I started with watercolors. I started then with acrylics and doing some abstracts. But also I realized that part of my own feeling about my roots, my mission was to promote the beautiful things of life. And with that, I will say that being involved with the community, I will say that, and I always encourage people to do art as a way to heal, as a way to be connected with neighbors, with the society, and also with the things that they are thinking or that they think that are challenging. And of course, in this time, this is something that I would like to talk more about. And I'm going to finish my presentation, my introduction, saying that, and I've been using this sentence all the time. And this sentence is like to say that making art is a peaceful way to change the world. And I think the world that we live now needs to be peacefully changed. So that is my introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please, we will be now talking with Lety Alvarez.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lety Alvarez. I am from Monterrey, Mexico. I study art in the university in La Universidad de Monterrey. And then I moved first to Virginia to come with my husband. He was studying in Virginia Tech. And then we moved to Raleigh. So I've been living in here for the past 25 years. Sorry when I was thinking about it, because now I've been living more than half my life here in the United States than what I was in Mexico. I'm 51. I moved here at 25. So now I've been living more in the United States. My art, especially the last series, it was about Mexican icons. When I was living in Mexico, there was this thing that on the weekends they play old movies. Pedro Infante, Tintán, Cantinflas. I am a huge fan of that. I could spend the weekend just watching old movies and I really enjoy it. So that series is mainly about nostalgia. Remember that time. And I always like to play and add a quote. It can be a song. It can be something that the artist say or did. And I found a lot of joy in doing that. This year has been extremely difficult for me to paint. It's been really hard because I have not found something like that to paint. And it's hard to close your eyes and try to paint something that you are not feeling. So my last piece is something that I'm working that is completely new, something that is coming. I haven't painted. It's a bull that I haven't really painted any animals before. So it's my first time painting an animal. And it's a bully who I was thinking about it, the big bully that we have in our times. So I think big changes are coming in my art because, as we say, it's something to express, something to heal, something to share. And of course, it's always controversial because not everybody share our views, not everybody share what we are living, and it's hard sometimes to express ourselves. But I think we need to be authentic with what we're doing. And even if some people don't like it, sometimes art is not meant to be beautiful. Sometimes art is not meant to be likable. And sometimes art is not made to be hung in a wall in a house for decorative purpose. Because sometimes people tell me, nobody's going to buy that. Nobody's going to want to put that in their living room. And sometimes maybe I'm not doing because I want this for one person. Maybe I want this to be in a place where everybody can see it, just not one family. Maybe I want this to be in a different area to have more exposure. Maybe I'm not doing this for the money that I'm going to get when this painting is sold. Sometimes it's something that it has to come out. And I think it's important that we are expressing what is going on around because I have never felt like this before. And we had immigration issues and things like that before. But these years feel different. Everything that is going on, every day we start the news and it's another thing and another thing. And it could be as simple as just change the name of the Gulf of Mexico for the Gulf of America. Who cares if it's going to be only seen in the United States? What's the point? It's just, as we say in Mexico, it's a capricho. Those caprichos are costing lives, are costing stabilities, are giving some people mental breakdowns, are separating families. So this is something that is hard. And as an artist, I think it's important that we talk about this with our art.
Thank you so much, Leti. We will be talking with Peter Marin now.
Hello, everyone, and hello, fellow colleagues, ILAAC friends. It's great to be here with everybody. My name is Peter Marin. I am a painter. I'm also an arts educator. I'm a curator, and I am a craft artist. I also spend a lot of time advocating and supporting Latino artists. And I wear a lot of different hats for a lot of different reasons, but they're all fundamentally at the core the same. And that is the necessity to make art, the necessity to help others share their art, and the necessity to have others realize that we are making art. The work it covers a different perspective, but I think one that is still part of the whole. And that is that my art is very important to me because it is fundamentally my expression. And so what I choose to do with my work is try to express who I am, absent or independent of the experiences I have as a whole with my communities. And what I mean by that is the necessity to make art and the necessity to dive into my own ideas and my own passions and my own thought processes. That's what's most important to me as an artist. As an educator, it's most important to me to be able to bring people into the practice of painting, for example, and to be able to share a new perspective on how art functions, the role of art in society, and how we've underestimated the importance and the necessity of art. In my curatorial position, I focus on making sure that my fellow Latino artists have an opportunity to exhibit, to have professional support, to have advocacy, and to be represented in a space where representation is minor or absent. And as far as my arts community, because we do belong to the arts community, as Pepe so rightfully said, it's my mission to be able to make others aware of each other's work so we can be a stronger arts community. That is briefly what I focus on. I am from Mexico City originally, and I was raised in an artistic environment by an architect, my father, who is the walking emblem of artistic tradition as I see it in Mexico. It was through him that I learned the appreciation for art the Mexican way. And by that, I mean that in Mexico, the arts are present and they're part of our lives and they are essential to how we construct our realities. And so I'm coming into this group, bringing that evolution and that perspective. Now, as far as the current administration goes, it is heartbreaking and appalling to be witnessing such impotence and such destruction and such vile targeting of our communities, and not just ours. We see this with others, and we see it historically as happening. So I don't think any of us are surprised. But we are, I think, terribly saddened by the fact that rather than improving our lives as a whole, we keep on digging these trenches and jumping back into them. But something about my community is that we are resilient, and this exhibition is a testament to that resilience, that we will be making art despite the conditions.
Thank you so much, Peter. We will be now speaking with Jose Manuel Cruz.
Hello, everyone, and good evening and good day to you all. And thank you all for being here and for making sure that ILAAC is present and we have a stamp in this community and hopefully in the world soon. I was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. My parents are Puerto Rican and Colombian. My father's from Isabela and my mother's from Cartagena. I was basically raised in more urban area in Newark, New Jersey. So I bring those experiences into my work and into my classrooms where everything from growing up and learning about Santeria to basically learning about graffiti and the pros and cons of what it is to be an artist. My elementary school art teacher, Professor Bernard, took me under his wings and made it his mission to make sure that I was accepted to Arts High School, which was the first visual and performing arts school in the country. Um, so once he got me in there, I was able to adapt to the other educators that were there, which kind of inspired me to become an educator. So I've been an educator now, art educator for over 37 years. And I like to bring those things back into my classroom. And especially, I love this group here because I have learned so much from the Mexican culture, believe it or not. Growing up in Newark, you have a little bit of everyone. But here in North Carolina, for the last 20 years, I've been learning about different cultures, but mostly about the Mexican culture because of my fellow artists and my fellow friends that I have here. And it inspires me to basically light the torch on my cultural background also. So when it comes to art, I like to create art that is in the present and then also art that has been in the past also. I think a lot of times as artists, we just don't always react to what's in front of us because we have to basically process it. And as much as sometimes we have many ideas that we want to get out, it takes time. It's a process that us as artists go through. And I think that's important once we put it out there, like we have done in this beautiful and powerful exhibition at the Durham Arts Council, that it basically illuminates the things that are going on, not only in our world as artists, but as individual Latino artists. And then all that basically reflects back into the community that we serve. And one of the things that is important is that people come to the show and ask questions, not only to see the work and walk by and comment to themselves, but if you guys come out on the 21st, you'll be able to experience some of the artists and be able to talk to them and get to know their work because it's important to get to know their views on the work and not just what, but to learn what the artists put into it and what were their ideas and everything else like that. Thank you so much again for everything and for being here.
Thank you so much, Jose Manuel. We will be now introducing Cornelio Campos.
Hi, everyone. Hi, hola compañeros de ILAAC. My name is Cornelio Campos and I am from Michoacán. As an artist, I don't have an art education, formal art education, but since I was a kid, I was introduced to the arts by Pánfilo Macías. He is a teacher that he gave these classes in Plaza every Sunday for the kids. I was a kid when I started to go these classes. And thanks to him, I was pretty much become who I am now because he inspired me to be an artist. When I was 18, I moved to Los Angeles. I was already painting, and few years later, I moved to North Carolina. So the topics that I paint is political issues, most about border issues, about immigration, about immigrants, things that we face when we come to the United States. And for me, it's not something new. For me, all the things that people talk and all the issues that we face about immigration, pretty much I felt that from day one that I was here in the United States. My experience in learning the culture, learning the language, give me enough material to become the artist I am now. I am now. And thanks to those immigration topics, thanks to those political issues that I paint, and actually I was painting my own frustration, my own life. So I stopped painting like about 10 years once I entered the United States. When I was in LA, I did a small commission, but I didn't have really a topic. I didn't have no style. But North Carolina gave me all that. I came to North Carolina and worked as a farm worker. Later, I moved to the city, and all those years of struggle gave me the opportunity to explore the topic. And thanks to that, I was exposed to the different universities, and that gave me the opportunity to share my art, and not just local, but statewide, nationwide, and international, thanks to those topics. And it's not something new that what we facing now, probably for some people, is new because probably it just impact their life. But for me, as soon as I entered United States, it really impact my life. So there is some artwork that I paint years ago, and if you see those old works that I did, you will think that it's just because it happened in the last few weeks, or even in the first term of this president, like when he was president on the first term. When he took office, we were in DC, and a lot of people saw my art, and they were thinking, how do you think that if it just happened? And I said, for you, it might just happen, but for me, it's been happening pretty much in my daily lives. And in this exhibit that we have now, the current exhibit of the Durham Arts Council, probably they don't look that significant. They not look that impactful like my first artwork, but everything is connected from the past work that I'm done. Probably they have to know a little bit about me in order to follow those paintings. But I think it's something that is not going to change. It's just develop and transform these issues, because my father, he came to the United States when he was young to work. My great-grandfather moved to LA, and it's the reason I am here, because he invited me to come to LA. But these issues they've been facing through not this century, the last century was the same. So it's probably part of current story from all stories that our people is going through. I guess we just need to learn how to face it every time it comes again and again.
Thank you so much, Cornelio, for that. I will introduce myself now. And before I do that, I just want to say how happy I am to be in a group of such strong artists that are just changing the landscape here in North Carolina. So thank you all. It's really a great honor to be with you on the space. My name is Antonio Alanís, and I am a multidisciplinary visual artist. I started primarily painting to use it as a tool to understand my identity. My parents brought me here since I was 5 years old, and I always turned to the arts as a way to make sense of what it meant to be a Latino person. And ever since, I've been able to use the art to help me reflect, make sense. And also along the way, I found that a lot of people have resonated, particularly organizations who want to use the art as a tool to talk about what's happening, and more about what's happening, really more about how we can use the art as a way to heal. It's a way that we can use the art as a tool to communicate, to educate, and to also talk about our experiences here. As someone who was brought here at a very young age, it was pretty hard for me to make sense of where I came from. And I always turned to my culture, my Mexican roots. And I've been able to hold on strongly. And I want to say that because of that, I think I've been able to be the person that I am. So very grateful for the exhibition and for the art. that I've been able to create in the past exhibitions. I did not participate in this exhibition due to some scheduling conflicts, but I'm happy to be here with you all today. A little bit more about my art. I mentioned a little bit. My art is also exploring how we can use art as a tool for change. I believe that art is a beautiful opportunity to bring people together. I have had this conversation with some of the artists in this group, how we can use art as a tool to educate, to organize. And my work is shifting more into cultural organizing, bringing in more understanding about how we can use art specifically during these times to come together, to learn, and make sense of what's happening. Recently, I started doing a new series called Virtual Protest Sign Workshops, where I'm inviting other artists to come together and talk about how we can use the art as a tool to join other movements that are happening right now during the current administration. So I want to make sure that all artists come together and we can talk and have these kind of discussions. I don't see the arts as involved in movement work as much as I would like. And I think that the beauty about this exhibition and the work that we're all doing collectively is joining our voices into larger movement work, how we can use this work to create healing, to create opportunities for coming together. Again, please, you're invited to see the exhibition in person. And I was able to see it. And I'm just amazed at the symbolism that everyone has shared, from migration stories to very moving narratives that oftentimes I don't get to see locally. And I'm very grateful to be part of an organization like ILAAC that is shining light on this kind of opportunity to use the art. And continuing on, thank you so much for that. I will now like to move on to the conversation. So why are we here? We will be having one discussion, larger discussion with many perspectives. And to reiterate, we're here because we know that 2025 will be a year of adversity. And that for that reason, we believe that it's crucial that we can use the art to talk about what we are experiencing as community members, as artists, as creatives. Before we start that discussion, and now we will be starting it, I would like to invite Cornelio Campos and Peter Marin to give us a little bit of context in terms of how the arts or the current political landscape has or has not changed in the past 20 years or however long you lived here in the triangle in North Carolina. Cornelio, I would like to ask you this question first. You mentioned that the current political climate, it's nothing new, that we have faced this before. I'm curious, can you give us some context about how that work and body of paintings that you did 20 or so years ago since you arrived to the United States, how that is also showing the same messages of hope, of dreams, of talking about our experiences as immigrants?
I think I got introduced to these issues at my early age, I will say, because my father, as an immigrant, I remember he brought some like community information that people used to share, maybe from some community organizers or maybe an organization. And I remember he had these brochures about what not to do when you cross the border. I remember this small magazine. It comes and shows not to go where the motor is. Don't go next to the moped. And it's, for me, it didn't make sense. But I remember see these images that somebody made to share and to pass it along to their families. Sure, I'm not sure where he got that, but I remember also have a different magazine with different pictures from immigration, how people actually die because it was too close to the motor, or they got squished because they had so many people in under the car or in between or anywhere they can hide. And also by my community where I come from, because Cheran is a town that everybody had somebody who is in the United States, because the migration started from probably late 1800s or early 1900s. It was few people who, including my great-grandfather, who immigrated. I'm not sure exactly which day, but probably it was late 1800, early 1900s, and along with my other relatives and also my grandfather. So pretty much my whole family, through generations, they've been coming to United States. And later, over time, little that I know that I will be following the same steps that I did. Not by choice, but because it just happened. And I was lucky that way I came, because I got invited by my grandfather, who lived here, or he used to live in LA. So I pretty much had to enjoy a little bit of the things that I already worked through years. But coming to North Carolina, pretty much I have to start from the bottom. And the artist who gave me these tools and how to use the art was pretty much Jose Clemente Orozco. I didn't know how to paint a mural. I didn't know how to make art. But I did remember when I was 10, 11, a friend of the family took me to Guadalajara, and I was living with them. And they know I love art, so I remember they took me to the museums. When they took me for the first time to, how do you call it? I think it's El Hospicio Cabañas is where Jose Clemente Orozco had these big murals, and that was actually the foundation of my art, and it is the foundation of my art, because over time I realized that everything comes together like a puzzle, and I was able to create art, but also I was incorporating my own experience among with other experience. And through time, I realized that my art was connecting with people, and not just Mexican people, not just Latino American people, also people who come from Europe. And that's when I discovered that art is powerful. And always gonna be a tool, like Anthony or we all say, that is something that we can use, and is really powerful to educate, to share, to start a conversation. Yeah, that's pretty much what I can share about my art.
Thank you, Cornelio. Your answer pushed back longer than 20 years. You went centuries. So thank you so much for that. We will be asking the same question to Peter. Peter, can you give us some context on how you see art has been evolving and responding, or not responding, to the climate since whenever you got here to North Carolina?
I arrived in North Carolina in 2014, but I had already lived in different parts of the US, and I already lived abroad also in Europe. But I came here with the intention of staying here. And so it was a very thoughtful action on my part. And when I arrived, one of the criteria that had to be met was a healthy arts community. And if we use that as the metric, when I arrived, I quickly found out that there was already an established network of artists willing to support and take in and move forward. And I had never seen anything like this in the many places that I've lived. I'm comparing it to New York, to the Bay Area, to Madrid. And it took me by surprise, because my whole experience as an artist has always been trying to thrive in an environment of antagonism. And that was not the case here. And in a matter of a couple of years, I was able to make some profound connections, some wonderful friendships, many of them who are in this call right now. I've met Cornelio early on. I met Pepe early on. And so this demonstrated to me that while it's developing, the direction in which it's going is positive. And immediately I jumped in and wanted to be part of it, and asked how I could help and where I could help, and showed up. I was present, and I continue to be, in order to remain plugged in. But this is a wonderful place to be able to establish that. Now, we all come here through different circumstances. But again, I want to offer you this group as testament to what I'm talking about. That out of our will and without much incidents, that we were able to come together and have a collective objective without much disruption or derailment, and see how our communities here in the Triangle receive us and are getting to know us. We are making way in the way I see it and the metrics that I hold, doing the projects that I do. So I'm not only hopeful, I can rest assured on the evidence that I've seen that we are fortifying North Carolina. We're making our Latino community much stronger by representing the arts in a much more impactful way, and that we are advocating for people who are similar to us, people who might have lived a life of antagonism or persecution or disrespect or misunderstanding, and we're helping them shift and orient and be part of our community. So it is a wonderful place to be. It needs a lot of work, but the work that we have done has made a huge improvement. I would like to acknowledge the Durham Art Council and Durham Art Guild, for example, for inviting us year after year to participate in being able to promote this message. And so again, proof is in the action, and the actions are there. Do we need more? Absolutely. And can we do more? You bet we can. And that's why we're here today.
Thank you so much, Peter. I have another follow-up question for you. Peter, you talked in your introduction about how you use your art as a tool for self-expression. Can you tell us more about how you use that to communicate, how you process and make sense of whatever you like to talk about?
Art for me is deeply personal, and it's an opportunity for me to express the person I am. And that's why I call it personal, because it's independent of my other personas, of my other hats that I wear, my political hat, my curatorial hat, my father hat, so forth. And so what matters to me is at the center of my work. When I contemplate and I think about what is important to me, what will make a life well lived, what gives me purpose, a lot of that information, a lot of that comes from my experiences and from the people that I've met and the people who have changed my road as I've traveled. Again, many of them are in this call right now. And my experiences are similar to what Cornelio said. When I arrived here, I never thought of myself as anything but Mexican, but I've had to become Mexican in the United States. I've had to stand up for something that in Mexico was my status quo. And this shift has invited me, in a sense, to analyze the importance of all these experiences in my life. And so it's that, from that richness of experiences and that tumultuousness of experiences and the irony of the things that have happened, that my work derives from. But I also try to celebrate that which I see spectacular in the traditions of the arts in Mexico. We have a 3,500-year history of art making. We have endured so much, and yet art always ends up at the top. It's impossible to go to Mexico City for 2 weeks and not see a fraction of what there is to see. And so our cultural legacy is deep, and when you dive into it, you realize that it's a wonderful source for art making, for finding oneself. And so that's why my work for me is independent in that case. As a curator, however, this year I've had to change some things around, and I will be putting together a couple exhibitions where the social issue is up front and the activism is up front. We need to really turn it up. And our conditions dictate how we perform. And in this case, I see the conditions in which we're in and as a big red flag in what's to come. And art has always ended up on top. So it's going to be my job to make sure that here in North Carolina, that continues to be the case.
Thank you so much, Peter. I will be now moving on to Pepe Caudillo. Pepe, Peter talked a little bit about the activism in his upcoming exhibition. And in that regard, this question is, why is this exhibition important in today's social and political climate? Why do you think that this exhibition is important to talk about right now?
Yeah. Before I answer your question, I'd like to share a couple of ideas. One is that when you go to this exhibition, Durham's Arts Council, or any other art exhibition, you will find at least two ways to see this. One will be just the immediate, direct way, in which you will see a canvas with paint on it, and you're going to see lines, you're going to see shapes, you're going to see shadows, you're going to see these basic elements, right? And that is great. That is a one way to enjoy what you're looking at. This combination of forms, lines, colors, proportions, balance, etc. It is one first way for anybody to approach art. However, there is another way. There are several ways, but I just like to mention two. The other way is a little bit deeper, and that will be looking at the art that is in front of you with the eyes of your soul. And then try to capture not only the colors and the lines and the shapes and those combinations, but also what is the message that is there. So in using the eyes that you have inside of you, that you use internally to try to be part of what is in front of you, try to find out why Leti is using this color in particular, and how come Peter is using these shapes this way, with this color and this proportion, this moment in my life. At that point, color, shapes, lines will become the metaphor of what you are trying to understand. And that will be that your soul eyes are trying to help you to find the world that is inside the picture that is in front of you, which is part at the same time the world that we all are living in. So it could be a complicated process if you think about it, but at the same time, it's a very nutritious way for you to not only use your soul to understand what is outside of you, but also to feed yourself into what it is there. So Cornelio is talking about things that have happened for many decades. Leti is talking about things that or icons that exist, I don't know, since the last century. And it's very actual, very current situation. You can enjoy the same way Pedro Infante today with Leti's art that those who live in the 50s and 60s enjoy it at the same time, which I think is great. So that is what you can allow yourself to do when you come and see ILAAC's work or any other artist's work. And I just wanted to present these ideas because I think this is one of the things that personally I have found out through art, and it's really cool. So I guess the more art that you can surround yourself with, the better person you could be internally, right? And it's something that you can take with you. When you are living times of crisis, the government can shut down internet, can shut down your email, can shut down social media, but it's not going to be able to ever shut down your soul. As long as you are alive, your soul is going to be living, and that is where your creativity is going to come. And I'm sure you're going to find out the way to express yourself and protest against what's happening against you and your community. So this is another reason why I think the exhibition is important right now. So you can go and not only enjoy that, but try to find what is inside of those artworks that you're going to see in the Durham Arts Council. Now, to go to the particular answer to your question, I would say, again, I think I'm going to say again some of the things that I say at the beginning, but I think it matters. Let's go back 200 years. And if you think about the 19th century, you're going to find some wars there. You're going to find people who were suffering just because they were women, because they were part of the LGBTQ plus community. And in that century, they were not called like that. I understand, but we have that part of the community just because they were poor, because they were Black, because they were Hispanic, because they were speaking another language. So we have wars. If you move to the 20th century, you have the two biggest world wars that we have had that produce millions of killings. People were dying with that. And so the main actors in those type of tragedies are called politicians. I'm sorry. And that's my thought process. So what is happening today can be compared to what happened, as Cornelio mentioned, 100 years ago, 60 years ago, 200 years ago, 3,000 years ago. They were calling another name maybe. But there's always this character that is leading either the good or the whole or the bad of the whole. And so, unfortunately, we are part of this. So I'm not blaming 100% everything to them, but it's us that we need to do something about it. So I think when you go and see our current exhibition to the Durham Art Council, you're going to find our reactions to this reality that we're living now. You're going to find what we think about it, and hopefully you're going to be part of the same experience and try to react in your own way using probably art at the same time. So this exhibition is important, or it matters to us, because we cannot be quiet, because we should not stop in what we are trying to accomplish as artists individually, but also as a collective, not only with ILAAC, but also as a community. It's important because using basic elements like just a pastel or one brush with one color can help you to develop the strongest message ever. And that's our invitation, as an implied invitation to everybody who wants to join us, and either physically or just in the galleries. And I can't keep going, but I guess that's my point, that the importance of art in our current times is vital. And so hopefully none of us is going to quit on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pepe, for giving us more historical perspective and how arts. Peter? Yes, you have a follow-up?
Just I want to reiterate something that Pepe said. Why is it important to go see artwork? We are used to seeing so much through a screen. The screen is attached or is part of a phone, and that phone is not part of the art. So we have to go see the art thing, the thing with the soul. We have to engage with it, not just through its image, but we have to go see it. That's part of seeing the art. And so, yes, the soul of the object, the thing that has the art, that is the art, is equally as crucial in this respect. And I think Pepe said it very well. We can use our eyes to open the soul, but we need to be looking at the thing with the soul.
Thank you, Peter. I will be now asking Lety Alvarez, your pieces going back to the Mexican Icons series that you're doing. And you mentioned this in your introduction, how you use your Mexican identity as a way to express, as a way to heal. Tell us more about the messages that you would like to share with the rest of us and people who visit the exhibition.
Yes, specifically in the Durham Art Council, my pieces there change a little bit from what I have over here. Because when I was painting them, there was a time of change also in Mexico. There was a change of government, and there were a lot of things going on. People wanted to change, other people wanted to stay with the past system. So at the time that I was painting them, I didn't know who was going to win. So I knew because both of the candidates were women that it was going to be a big change for Mexico because either one, it was going to be the first woman president. So that made the creation of one of my paintings with Maria Felix on the portrait. And a lot of message, there's a halo with a lot of message about how's the woman treated, right? Another of the painting is a painting of Emiliano Zapata. And he has a message, a kind of hidden message on his belt that it says, Fuerza Mexico, because big changes are coming. It's not just this country, it's Mexico, and it's everywhere in the world. Something is going on, something is shaking, something is happening. So at that time, when I was painting those paintings, there was a lot of on my mind, but not in the United States. It was going on and then I have another painting on the lower side, on the lower part of the building. When you go in, you enter, and that painting we decided to put along with Cornelio's because it's also about immigration. And it's about people working on the field. And I was thinking on how Raleigh has a lot of fields where a lot of Mexican work. In my mind, when I was doing that, I was thinking of the tobacco fields. And I was playing with colorful leaves, colorful fields. And the person that is there is in black and white and is an immigrant. And the title of the painting is Hands Up. I was thinking somebody come and get him while he was working. And is this idea that people are working, people are helping, everybody lives better, providing food on our tables, and they want to take that away. And so at the time that I was doing that painting, I was feeling moved because of and as Cornelio said, that has been happening for so long. It's just that this time, I don't know, it feels like it's going stronger. And I can feel the fear in the people. And I also been living in Raleigh for the past 17 years. And I think I can see the increase in the Latino Mexican community. You go to any store and you hear someone speaking Spanish. So when I arrived here 17 years ago, that was not the case. So I know that there are a lot more immigrants now than before. And I don't know, maybe I can feel that suffering. I can feel that fear. You get letters from the kids' schools saying, don't be afraid to come to school. We are protecting the school. Nothing bad is going to happen. Nobody's going to come and get you. And how do you feel that your kid is getting that? How many kids are feeling afraid? That's shaking me. It's like unbelievable. You cannot think that kids have to go through that. Even now that I've been an American citizen for 8 years, I posted something and I posted a painting that I did. And my mom was telling me, please take it out. Don't leave it there. They're going to deport you. And I'm like, Mom, they can't. And she said, maybe they can. And then I was thinking, maybe they can. They can do whatever they want. And so you can feel the fear, even if you're not doing anything wrong. Maybe if you're just expressing yourself, you can feel like, yes, they can do whatever they want. Maybe they can figure something out. Maybe they can say that I got my citizen fraudulent or something and they can kick me out. You never know. So it's a little bit scary. These times are not our regular times, happy times. It's hard. It's hard because you see it on many levels. It's not just the Mexican. It's everywhere. Yeah. So the Durham, if you go and see the exhibit, it's good that Pepe tells us. You can maybe understand a little bit what's going on. If you go and you see it and you try to not just see it as Pepe saw it with your eyes, you see it with the feeling that we have right now, you will understand better.
Thank you, Leti.
Sorry, I also want to say that it's not only bad. It's not only because the coin has two sides. And I have also feel in these 17 years, a lot more interested in our art, in our traditions, a lot more galleries and museums ask us to make altars on the Day of the Dead. They want to share this tradition. And I can see a lot of people going to this, and a lot of people have questions, and a lot of people wants to know. It's not just the bad, it's also the good. And I like to share my culture, and I like to share my traditions. And I've been teaching kids art for the past 10 years. And they get very excited if I do an altar and I can put some of their art in my of friends that they want to participate and the parents want to go and see, and everybody, I can feel that we are welcome. So the community is divided, but we have the good and we have the bad. But I like to think that we have to have more good than bad.
Thank you so much, Leti, for that follow-up. I appreciate it. We will be moving on to Jose Manuel. Jose Manuel, one of the things that stick out to me when I look at your work is your Puerto Rican, Colombian, multicultural identity and identities coming together. You mentioned a little bit more about that in the introduction. Tell us more. Why is it important for you to reflect your art, your roots, where you come from, and where your parents are from?
I think it's important, not only for me, but for all of us to be able to share our stories as much as we can through our work, because we don't want anyone else telling our stories because they may not get it correct. So it is important for us to make sure that we tell our own stories. With my Puerto Rican and Colombian culture and being Afro-Latino, because my wife is also African-American. So I grew up with all of these different cultures behind me. And a lot of my work comes out, everything comes out, and it's embedded in my blood. I was born with it that way. So a lot of it comes out that way. I think being an educator is important also because it allows me to be a versatile artist. So I just don't paint, and I work with different mediums and do photography. And you'll see a lot of Luis's photography here in the exhibition also. I wanted to make sure that the work that I put into this exhibition, believe it or not, art has a purpose. And I'll tell you a little story. My Legal Aliens piece that I have there at the Durham Arts Council for this show, it didn't even start out that way. It started out first with me making these, what I want to call aliens, coming out from different worlds and planets or whatever. And then with this whole political atmosphere that was coming up and the exhibition coming up and how we came up with the title and everything. And I said, oh my goodness, you know what? It was made for me to put this show up and to call it Illegal Aliens. And I think that as artists, it is our purpose to make sure that we create things that are going to open up, like Pepe said, and Peter reiterated, is to bring that soul out. People need to know who we are inside, not just by the work that they see, but that's why I said ask questions. They need to see who we are inside also, because it's great to get other people's opinions, but you want to know where the source is. You want to go to the source all the time. And that source is the one that has the story, that has the narrative behind the pieces. And working in different mediums and different sizes and everything, that's where our creativity comes in. Like Pepe was talking about the colors and the lines, and you get to see that. You get to see all the elements in all of our work, from Cornelio's pieces with his colorful pieces and the history behind his work, to Lety's monochromatic pieces, Luis's photographs, Pepe's abstractness also, and very aggressive sometimes looking pieces that, sometimes I'd be like, what was you thinking about when you did this piece? And with Peter, sometimes with Peter, his work, it's like you just want to dive into Peter's work because there's so many different levels in his work and the colors that he used and the different planes and the shapes and everything else like that. It's okay, Peter, how about you just give me an inch of your work and then I'll try to analyze that, not the whole piece. So it's like a puzzle. And then you have your work, Antonio. Your work is so colorful and it's like simplistic complexity in a way, because you get your point across very simplistic with your designs. You're like very graphic and everything, but there's so much to basically unravel. It's like getting a present at Christmas time. You have the wrapping paper and the bow, but as soon as you take that bow off and that wrapping paper, it doesn't become important anymore. What becomes important is what you get inside, right? So that's basically what not only your work reflects, but what all of our work in this show reflects. And I am grateful, like Peter said, to the Durham Arts Council for allowing us to be able to exhibit as a collective there every year. And I'm also proud to be on the board of trustees as there, but as an artist and educator, because I'm able to use that platform as an artist and educator to let them know what we're thinking about also, because they need to know that point of view also. So as far as the culture and everything else like that comes out in my work, it's just natural. God gave me the talent. And for me to be able to express it, whether it's through a canvas or through a 3D piece or a photograph or anything else like that, it's exciting for me. But I think the most exciting thing, believe it or not, is being around other artists like you all. So that's what I'm really grateful for.
Thank you, Jose Manuel. I echo all the beautiful positive feedback to your work as well. So thank you. We'll be now moving on to Luis. Luis, in your introduction, you talked about how you have used the art as a tool for healing. I realize that art can be a very personal thing. And tell us more about how you have used art in your daily life and what are some of the benefits that you would like to share to people?
Yes. So first, I just want to say gracias a la gente que nos está viendo, que puedan entender un poquito con los subtítulos en español. Y bueno, continuando, yes, I just want to say that for me, as I mentioned before, yes, the art is a way to express your thoughts, maybe sometimes to fight, maybe sometimes to put a statement on things, but also it is important to heal, to recover from experiences. So that's why I always mention that creating art is important for life. And I'm gonna talk about that in a bit, but I want to point out the title of the exhibition, the main topic. And you mentioned Pepe before, which is live life in the face of adversity. Viva la Vida, Ante la Adversidad, right? Is what it is. When we were talking about the title of this exhibition, we came with different ideas, right? And at the end, we voted Viva la Vida ante la Adversidad. The first part of the title is Viva la Vida, which is what we're doing now. Also was a painting from Frida Kahlo, the same title that Coldplay used for a song, right? And why not to use it for us? Why not to use it for this exhibition to create something beautiful, to create community, right? And that's what we're doing. So we're creating a safe space for us to share this life. Now, the second part is the adversity, right? Again, which we're living right now. Cornelio mentioned this is not a new thing. The fact that is happening now to us, we have to come with this transformation of life. And when I talk about transformation of life, I'm gonna mention these creations that we all made with the artwork, with the paintings, with the pieces that we are exhibiting, right? Again, live life, right? You will see, talking about my work, you will see, for example, some photographs. One of them is about soccer, like people at the Bank of America Stadium with the cheering, the Cruz Azul, with these Cruz Azul flags, right? Because they are living the life. They're enjoying a moment. Despite what is happening with a society, they are taking a moment to cheer the team. And you cannot see any other expression but happiness, just joyful faces, right? And when I take photographs or when I create painting, I'm thinking about healing. I'm thinking about a way to connect with the people, with other artists, with anyone in a positive way, right? Because when you go and see that luchador mask on that photograph, you will see culture and you will see the community join. And also, and I'm gonna change a little bit my background just to show this, which is a piece that you will see in at the exhibition. So it's this one here. And again, talking about community and talking about Viva la Vida is because we dance. It's because we want to be free. We want to feel this freedom and to have these connections with the nature, with the elements, right? So when I talk about how do we heal is through all these creations. Now, going back to the background. When I talk about this exhibition as well, you will see a sunset, one of my paintings beside Leti, and is this beautiful sunset, right? And you will see just bright colors. When I showed this painting, people were telling like, oh, this is a beautiful sunset. This is wow. But when I explain this painting, you will see a little, how you call the skeleton, the skull
Skull.
of this animal, right? And they were like, but why? Yeah, why not? Is what people suffer when they're crossing the desert, right? People is dying. And is this symbolism about immigration, and is what I want to have this reflection on the exhibition. Again, you guys are talking about the essence of the art, the essence of the pieces. And someone, I think was Jose, Pepe, or both, they were talking about the soul. They were talking about it was Pepe. Yeah, they can take our belongings, right? They can take whatever they want, but they won't take our souls. And I'm agree with that. When you heal your soul, you will be enjoying life and you will be connected with yourself to help others. And just to finish my participation here, I want to say that from my perspective about my pieces, about my work, is not about me. So my work is about the community. Is how I see people. Is what they are giving to us to somehow to represent them, to be their voice. It is important for the attendance for the public to understand that my work is not, I don't want to be the one who's telling, yeah, go and visit my art. Yes, visit it, but it's for them, it's for the community, it's for the people who inspire us to create, right? My last message is again, please come, and if you have questions, you can contact us, and we are, at least I'm happy to respond and to talk with people. So thank you.
Thank you, Luis, for those words. I would like to close now the section of the artist. And I will close the section by talking more about, in a perspective, not from an artist participating in this exhibition, but more on someone who is creating and collaborating with the group as well and sharing this message. I was remembering earlier, I don't know, this is our very first panel talk. I think we have had one in the Ante Arts and Culture Center. And I'm forgetting that was related to same exhibition or an exhibition we had in the past. But this one is our third exhibition at Durham Arts Council. And we had the time to talk about this, such a robust conversation, really a beautiful compliment to the work. And when Pepe and Luis reached out to me asking if we were considering doing artist panel talk, as a multidisciplinary visual artist, I said, let's do it. We have not had this conversation as far as I know, as far as I remember. So please correct me if I'm wrong, everyone. And I think it's important as a multidisciplinary visual artist to have time and space for a conversation that normally I don't see or don't get to see or hear from exhibitions that I go to here in the Triangle. And I think that it's a lot that we can lose if we don't have access to the artist conversations. It's important that as someone who, like Peter said, advocates for artists and for change, I think it's important to include artists in conversations. They really, just as you have seen tonight or today, don't limit themselves to the art, but really to the larger picture, which is really our humanity, our communities here in this world, in this country, in this state, in this city, in this triangle. And I think that having a space to share our art, to come together in times that are hard, we can show that even though people and the Trump administration tries to remove our humanity and are constantly doing things to essentially remove life away from us, that we are here still gathering, we are still resisting, and we are sharing ideas, which I think it's a beautiful way to propagate life, to continue celebrating life, despite all the messages they try to share in the media, and they are constantly bombarding us. Today is February 11th. We don't know what will happen in the future, but I think that it's important for me as an artist to continue to clinging to our humanity, clinging to our life, and that we are here to live and to survive. And also a message that I hear from everyone is that we are strong, that we have been here before many centuries. We have been here many other times, and that we will continue to live and survive. So I am just inspired by today's talk. Thank you so much for everyone. I will now move us back to, or rather to the last part of the presentation, the panel talk, with giving everyone a brief, under a minute or so, preview. Tell us, what are your upcoming plans, as much as you like to share? You like community members to know, or other organizations, or potential future clients, if you're interested in that as well, under a minute or less. What's coming up for you? Where can people find you? And I'll start with Pepe.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to continue with my series of Politics is Ugly, but I'm going to be more abstract. So I'm trying to do different materials. I think the faces that I've been doing it's not that I'm tired of them. It's just I want to experiment with other mediums to portray the same message with different materials. That's what I'm trying to do. But I also want to say just briefly that thank you to the Durham Arts Council for the opportunity to have us there. And hopefully we can continue with this relationship for many years and for many other artists. And also just think about what is happening in the community. I don't see massive deportations. I don't see the gas prices going down. I don't see the grocery prices going down. I don't even see eggs now. So we used to have eggs. Now there's no eggs. So there's really a differentiation between what they say and what actually happens. And so if we continue feeding our soul and we become more wise and that will help us to determine what is actually happening in life. And maybe there's no reason for us to be scared, but of the opposite, be happy and create more art. Thank you.
Thank you, Pepe. We will be continuing with Luis. Briefly, Luis, what would you like to tell our community?
Be united and do actual community with your people, with other people. Just focus your thoughts on positive things and try to blow thoughts. Also write things down or create some kind of art. Do something like separate from your work or your daily activities. I think just trying to do that. But I think that will be my advice. And even if I know it's hard, but even if you hear bad things on social media or news, or you read the newspaper, bad things, just try to avoid negative feelings. I know it's hard, but I think that's going to be helpful to you. Again, thank you to the Durham Arts Council for this opportunity, this third year opportunity exhibition. And thank you for all the work that they're doing. And we will continue promoting values, promoting art, and promoting traditions and culture.
Thank you, Luis. Next, we have Lety Alvarez. Any closing messages?
No, stay positive, as Luis said. As I was telling you, my art is changing. I feel like it's changing, and it's been a struggle because sometimes you feel like you're getting out of your comfort zone. So it's hard to do, like the uncertain times that you're living is the way I feel like about my art. It's like uncertain. I don't feel completely sure of what's coming next. I'm just like struggling. But I feel like in times like this is when you grow. In times that change you, in times that challenge you, that's when you grow and that's when you get better. And so I feel like we are all learning about this and we're growing. And as Cornelio shows us, we are resilient. We will overcome this. So we will be living la vida.
Thank you, Lety. Peter?
I'm going to continue doing all my work. If you know me, you know that I say that every day is Monday. And so every day is a work day. And that's what keeps me going. So I'm dedicating myself to continuing my work, to continue to curate and support Latino artists in North Carolina, to continue to share my traditions through Dia de Oakwood, and to continue to make opportunities for others so they can also thrive.
Thank you, Peter. Jose Manuel Cruz.
Okay, I'm going to echo what everybody else has said so far. And as far as me, I work every day, whether it's for myself or for my students. I think I am living my best life because I have a family that supports me. I have my wife that's always my backbone. I have my studio space here, which is basically my home. And I'm working on some new pieces back here for my feature show in New Jersey in April, and which basically has to do with my upbringing and living in the so-called ghettos of Brick City, and just to continue to inspire others. And I think, like I said, being an educator and having another studio at the school and working with artists every day, even though they're young artists, but they're still artists, and they give me all the inspiration. And then not only that, but to continue to be at least create a positive impact in our collective with ILAAC, and to make sure that, as Peter said, to create platforms for others, especially for other artists of all colors, and make sure that they prosper and get what they deserve also.
Thank you, Jose Manuel. And we will be continuing with Cornelio. Cornelio, what final message would you like to tell our community?
My message is I will continue with some exhibits by the end of this month. And also I keep having workshops with my students like every other weekend. And for the community in general, yes, sometimes you have to stay away from the news, from social media. And if you watch those, make sure it's a genuine news, because now people create so much fake news that it just, what it's doing is just damage our community instead of helping them. With using old videos, using old news, that probably happened 2-3 years ago. So make sure you check the source where it comes and which state it is, because sometimes it's something that happened in California or other states, and somebody just update it because they repost it and say, "Oh, this is happened." Yes, just try to keep and be having your sanity and be healthy. Be little bit from the news sometimes.
Thank you, Cornelio. For me, I will continue to explore what it means to use the arts, the tool for activism. Definitely will be continuing to work with organizations, including nonprofits, so that I can add the art component through my work. And everyone else here is also invited to join if you like and you're able. I think that the arts have so many benefits. Again, I will not repeat what we've said tonight, but just continue to include our artistic voice into the movement work. And with that, I want to close to today's program and artist panel talk. Thank you all so much for joining us. You can follow us on social media, including Instagram at ILAAC_NC. We will be updating with upcoming work. And also you'll see all the other artists' beautiful work as well and their handles. So again, everyone, thank you so much for this amazing and robust talk. I look forward to staying in touch.
Gracias.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, everybody.
Gracias.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you. This is a
Appreciate it.
fantastic word. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Gracias.